The WCA home has private rooms for seniors who need assisted living. We are a nonprofit home founded 125 years ago for women, now seeking approval for men. Our mission has always been top-notch assisted living. Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Doc Hamels, and you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise here on Access Chautauqua. Whew, we got a lot to talk about today, but before we do that, I have a few things I want to share with you. All right. Let's start out with good afternoon to my friends over at WRFA 107.9, low power to the people, over in Jamestown, Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. Thanks for listening in and joining us here at the radio station. I'm glad to be able to share with you things that are going on in Chautauqua County. Today's show is no different than any other week. We got some important stuff to share with you, and I think you're going to be glad you tuned in and stayed with us through the whole show. Now remember, if you can't catch us for the whole show, whether it's live this morning or whether you are listening to us on the radio, you can check us out on YouTube. Just push Chautauqua Sunrise. You can put in the date of the show or just by the title of the person that's my guest for the week. And all 206 shows up till now are on the YouTube. I want to point out next week we will be, I know it seems hard to believe, we won't be live next week. We are pre-taped because three of us are riding in the ride for Roswell. And we are the team called the Chautauqua Sunrisers. So we did a special Ride for Roswell show, and it'll be on the air next Saturday morning. We'll be back the following week, live as always, here at 9 o'clock in the morning in Mayville. Okay, I want to remind you that the 4th of July, I'll be hosting the parade, as I have for many years now, and my co-host will be the wild and zany Rick Mascaro from Westfield, from the Lakeshore Center for the Arts, and we have a lot of fun with him. And so we'll be stationed, I believe, where we always are, in front of the Mayville Library. So if you're in the parade or if you're walking by, do stop and say hello. We always love to talk to our viewers and listeners and fans. All right. Let's see, I got that down there. All right. Father's Day is tomorrow. I want to wish all my fellow fathers, grandfathers, step-grandfathers, whatever your role is, if you're helping young people grow up and move into the world, thank you, and happy Father's Day tomorrow. So I hope you have something planned, at least part of the day that's a lot of fun. I know that we're getting together for breakfast somewhere My daughter called up and said, "What do you want to eat?" I said, "I eat anything. Just you pick the place, we'll be there." So it's going to be a hot one tomorrow. I think it's going to be like 86 or 87 degrees. So sunscreen, I always talk about that. Okay, just a word to say hi to folks in Jamestown. Last night, Will and I played over at the Wine Cellar outdoors, and what fun that was. The music was bouncing off all those big buildings and echoing, and people were cheering and waving to us as they were walking by, so good fun. And if you want to catch us, or just want to have just fun looking at antique or really cool-looking cars, the Great Discovery Center over in Westfield, over on Route 20, is having a cruise-in, and Will and I will be playing from noon to 3 today. So if you want, stop by, say hi, check out the cars. They got food and all kinds of fun things, some basket raffles and things like that, but really, really cool cars. So check them out. I got some general announcements I want to share with you from all over the county. Not too many today. Woo, some weeks they about wear my lips off. But let's start over in Jamestown with our good friends at Infinity. Okay, if you're interested in music, art, dance, theater, or literature, the Infinity Center is the place for you. Come down to Infinity's next new student orientation on Thursday, June 21. School's out by then, and see all that Infinity has to offer. Take a guided tour, meet the Infinity staff, and register for lessons. Now remember, we're talking about basically for young folks, but as a parent, you should go along with them, and I think you're going to be duly impressed. I've been associated with Infinity for a number of years now, and it's just a great organization. If you're interested to register, give them a call at 664-0991. All right, let's pop up the slide 15, Jeff. Okay, this is when those mark your calendars for Infinity, and this is the 15th annual local music showcase. We don't have the really cool poster yet because they come out with one every year. I have a collection of them now, but they're looking for local musicians to play for this particular evening, which will be September 8th. And bands, duos, soloists, they volunteer their time somewhere throughout that evening from 6 p.m. somewhere into the wee hours of the night. That's what musicians do. And they offer up their time for folks like you that may not be playing anymore or at all, but you enjoy good music. You can go around about 12 different venues. You pay about $10, you get a wristband, and you go anywhere in Jamestown and listen to all kinds of music for 6 hours. It's a great night. So check that out, September 8th. But if you're a musician, you're interested in participating in that, give them a call, 664-0991. I think I've been doing that for about 6 years now. Great time. All right, let's talk about some things from the Chamber of Commerce here in Chautauqua County. Let's see. Along with the Chamber and JCC's continuing education, they're proud to present an important topic for the next Business Over Bagels, which will be held Tuesday, June 19th at JCC North Training Center over on Bennett Road there in Dunkirk. Trainer Elizabeth Sapola will present Hire and Train Good Employees, with a focus on building a strong workforce, businesses that know that what it takes and that it requires time and money to find, hire, and train employees. Join us for this morning's session that will explore a variety of topics, including how to advertise for new employees, how to interview potential candidates, onboarding new employees, and how to clearly state job expectations and more. The cost for the training is $25 per person for chamber members and $30 for non-members. And if you want to know more about this, give them a call at 363-6590, 363-6590 for that training. Okay, moving right along. Cassock, our friends at Cassock are having Chevette's Chicken Barbecue. This will be held during its first annual Prevention Works, held on June 23rd in the South County at the Jamestown Jammer Stadium over on Faulkner Street. Tickets are $10 each, and proceeds will go towards the Chautauqua County Youth Prevention Services. Your support will help increase the outreach with youth in the community. Cassock provides school programs as well as one-on-one services for youth living in a chemically dependent home. Last year, Cassock worked with, this is the number that's staggering, over 5,000 students across the county. Tickets for this can be purchased through staff or board members, or give them a call at 664-3608. And moving right along. There's another program that's being offered through CASIC. It's called the Addiction Response Ministry Christ-Centered Recovery Program. And this is going to be held June 23rd from 9 to 3 p.m. Let's see, at Pillar of Fire Church in Dunkirk. It's brought to you at no cost by Addiction Response Ministry and Chautauqua Alcohol and Substance Abuse Council, otherwise known as CASIC. The intent of the course or training is to develop facilitators who can effectively teach the Christ-centered recovery class to those affected by substance abuse. Pre-registration is required. You can give them a call at 664-3661, ask for Kathleen Colby, and they'll get you all signed up. Okay, moving right along, our friends at WRFA. Yeah, the 2018 Great American Picnic. I love the 80s. I'm trying to remember what I was doing in the 80s. I think we were having kids during that whole time. It's going to be held on Tuesday, June 26th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. The theme, of course, is the 80s. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be held at the Southern Tier Brewing Company. So check it out, and there's the information right there on the screen, and I'm sure our friends on WRFA, the listeners, are going to be hearing all about this as well. So it looks like a lot of fun. All right, moving right along. Enjoy First Fridays and Fish in Westfield. That's a mouthful. All right, the Westfield Barcelona Community Chamber of Commerce will hold its next First Friday event on July 6th on Main Street. These street fair style events feature live music, kids games, wine, food, vendors, and a whole lot more. It starts at 5 and ends at 8 on the first Friday of each month during the summer. Through September this year, there's something new to enjoy. The Westfield Barcelona Community of Commerce developed the Westfield Fish Initiative to celebrate the Westfield Barcelona fishing industry and demonstrate community involvement. More than 80 businesses and individuals purchased and decorated large fish plaques, and they are also on display throughout the summer in the village and the hamlet of Barcelona. You can find the complete interactive map of fish locations at Westfield, New York, so that'd be westfieldny.com, doing business, Westfield Fish 2018. And in the opening credits, you saw our Chautauqua Sunrise Fish. I call him Guppy, and he's out there under the tower, clock tower in Westfield, down in the lawn there. So that's a lot of fun, so check them out. A lot of things going on in Chautauqua County, as I say all the time, especially the summertime. Okay, Mayville Library Summer Book Sale. It's going to be held at the library at 92 Southeast Erie Street. And boy, it goes on for quite a while. It's going to be held Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, starting June 29th all the way through the 7th. Adult and children's books, movies, magazines, puzzles, and a whole lot more. If you want something for the summer just to, have something to read on the rainy days or early in the morning or just sitting on the porch rocking, whatever, this is a great opportunity to work on your library and get some kids' books as well. And note, on July 7th, evidently that's the cleanup day, you can get a bag sale. They'll sell you a bunch of books for hardly any money, and that's going on at the Mayville Library starting Friday the 29th. Okay, here's one. Laugh in the Dark. This is a new one. It's R-rated humor for big kids 18 plus. This is Rick Mascaro and Company. An evening of comedy that will have you on the floor laughing. Now air-conditioned and with chair lifts for customers who need assistance. July 13th, 14th, and 15th at 7 p.m. in the Jackie Phillips Theater at $10 at the door or online, lakeshorecenterforthearts.com. And this is held at the Presbyterian Church in Westfield. They have one wing over there on the second floor that's a beautiful venue for not only comedy, but also music and art and so forth. So, Laugh in the Dark, coming up July. All right, Taste of Westfield, just down the road. This is coming up, but mark your calendars. Come join us on July 14th, and the rain date is the 21st. This is something new, I think. It's the Westfield Farmers and Artisans Market Saturday from 9 to 2. The market has grown from 10 to 35 vendors since it began some years ago. Each week the crowds begin to gather early to shop great deals and wonderful products from farmers and artisans in the area. It's time now to add Westfield's great food service restaurants and wineries to the market for this great event. Thus, the Taste of Westfield was born. A great day of fine food, entertainment, with a community picnic atmosphere in the park. This will be a day to show off some of your finest foods, beverages, and sales and service. Excuse me. We suggest that you offer samples at a reasonable cost and so forth. So if you're interested, give Nancy Scriven a call at 269-9726. And so they're adding a different slant on this. The fee is $15. The cost to cover brochures and so forth. But do give Nancy Scriven a call again at 269-9726. Taste of Westfield coming up. Jonathan Weston, one more time. He's doing this again. The Roger Tory Peterson Wild America Nature Festival. It's probably doesn't have a new poster. He has the greatest posters with great artwork on it. But nonetheless, it's another mark your calendar for the Roger Tory Peterson's Wild America Nature Festival, which is coming again to Panama Rocks on July 28th and 29th. The last week of July, it says. Headlining the event are Roger Tory Peterson's son, Lee Peterson, who's a nationally best-selling author. Roger Tory Peterson's son, Lee Peterson, as well as nationally best-selling author Jennifer Ackerman and famous animal expert Jeff Musial with his animals. Guests to the Wild America Nature Festival will also be able to explore the Panama Rocks, which is a very scenic area, and try their hand. Now, I'm trying to get the guys here at the studio to do this with me. Think about this now. We try our hand at axe throwing.
I'm in.
We might have one less camera person here at the brand new Excellent Adventures. Okay, discounted passes are available already for the price of the one-day pass online at wildamericafest.com. Let's see, discounts are at $10 for general admission, ages 13 up, $5 for youth, $5 for youth from 6 to 12, and kids under 5 are free. The festival is currently accepting volunteer applications for this year with free admission, of course, and other little perks. And I already told you about that. So Jonathan Weston invites all of you to be there, and if you have more questions or comments, just write to Jonathan at Jonathan@PanamaRocks, that's all one word.com. And as he says, have a wild summer. So that's coming up. Great time and a great event. We're going to take a little breather here. We have a public service announcement, and I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Okay, we're back, and for those of you just joined us, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and today we're going to talk about some serious issues here in Chautauqua County in the local region. Mental health, mental hygiene, good, sound mental health, and how to live and lead a healthy life, and sometimes we need some help. Many of you probably were in shock as much as I was with various people that have had some mental health issues. Robin Williams was one. Just recently, Anthony Bourdain, if you watch the Travel Channel, had some issues with mental health. And we're going to be talking to our returnee to our show, Annie Rosenthal, who's the public relations coordinator for the county, and she's involved with Tapestry and so forth in departmental hygiene. And we have a new guest today, Melissa Ginestre, and she is a mental health therapist with a program called CRAFT. So far, did I get everything right, or pretty close?
Yeah.
Pretty close, all right. You know, sometimes all these titles go on and on and on. So I want to welcome you here to the show, and Annie, how you been?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad that you've returned, and you and I decided that there were enough issues here in the county, in the region, that we were going to continue the discussion. And this is round 2. And we've already talked about doing something again in the fall, right?
Yes.
Mental hygiene provides a lot of different services to the community around behavioral health, with mental health counseling, counseling for substance use, and all kinds of other services. And so today I brought Melissa Ginestre with me to talk about our CRAFT program. CRAFT stands for Community Reinforcement and Family Training.
Okay. So let's go to Melissa now. Melissa,
Yes.
Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Well,
happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you too, and it's always so interesting to learn about various services that I've never heard of, and I've been looking forward to the show because I don't know anything about craft.
Okay.
So many times I talk to people that I sort of know what the thing is, and so I have to pretend I don't know and ask questions. I don't know anything about it, and I don't know anything about you either. So can you tell us a little background about yourself so just people kind of know who you are?
Okay, sure. Well, I've been an outpatient mental health therapist for Chautauqua County. It'll be 10 years next month.
Great.
I live in Jamestown with my husband and our 2 boys. I'm passionate about mental health and treatment for folks that are living with substance use disorders and mental health. CRAFT is a relatively new program that we've implemented specifically for concerned significant others and family members who want to learn how to help their loved one with the problem.
So now I ask questions, so and I'm always
ready.
trying to be serious, but sometimes it come off like I'm goofing around. So I heard a lot of things just now. So CRAFT, if I heard it right, is a family-centered program. Did I catch that right?
CRAFT is a program that we are facilitating. It is an evidence-based treatment program. So folks that are interested, who we term concerned significant others, that could be a spouse, that could be an adult child, that could be a friend, that could be a parent of somebody that has substance use disorder or alcohol use disorder, but they don't know how to address the problem. Maybe things that they've tried in the past haven't been successful. So we work with the loved ones to help motivate them. It's a little bit like coaching them in communication skills to motivate their loved one to accept help for the problem. Yes.
All right, so we all know what AA is.
Sure.
Is it AA?
It is not. It's what we would say it's an alternative to the mutual support groups like Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous have family support programs. Al-Anon and Nar-Anon, I think, are the most common. They're very important programs for mutual support. CRAFT is different. It's an alternative because it's a treatment program. The goal of CRAFT really is, there's 3. First, in working with the family member, offering them skills and support to improve their own lives. And what we know about folks who are living with or who love somebody that struggles with substance use disorder, it's very important for them to help themselves. And if they were to pursue Nar-Anon or Al-Anon, we know that they're going to have some benefit from that. CRAFT was created to be an alternative because it's a treatment program. It's not a mutual support. So it's a therapy instead of mutual support, and so that's why it's incredibly effective in motivating somebody to seek help.
But the two programs could work together, though.
They could work together, absolutely. And several of the folks that I've worked with CRAFT also participate in the 12-step support groups.
How big is the problem?
Oh, it's enormous and pervasive. And recently, I think in the media, and especially in Chautauqua County, there's been a lot of work done to highlight what's been termed the opiate epidemic and what resources are available and what resources we need to try and combat that. But really, it cuts across all substance, alcohol, marijuana, opiates, amphetamines. There are families that are struggling with these things, and it's significant. What
are the demographics of those that are struggling right now? Because I'm going to take a shot at it right now before you tell us. But sadly, I kind of keep track of these things because I was telling you earlier that being in the education world, and what I do here, I try to track these things. So I've been seeing the opioid situation and drugs and things like that hitting what I would call low to mid 20s up into the 30s in that kind of age group, and very often folks that have kids.
Sure.
Am I close?
I think absolutely. Right now, I don't have statistics to be able to report
Oh, just
out
a
exactly.
feeling.
I would say, kind of anecdotally, just a feeling. What we're seeing is that a significant amount of young people, young adults as well, are experiencing substance use disorders and alcohol use disorders. But just working in the clinic, I work with a lot of adolescents. We also work with a lot of adults. It really does not discriminate, the substance use disorders and alcohol use disorders, male, female, across the board.
Like financial, demographic?
Financial, all socioeconomic and demographics, it's across the board.
So,
Sure.
I've hit this with Joe Gerasi, with Goodell, Kathy Young, various other folks in programs, CASIC. What's the root cause? What's the deal? I mean, it's not like we're not talking about this. It's not like there aren't programs. Why isn't it not stopping? It seems like it's a river that just keeps flowing. What's the deal?
Sure. I don't know. And I don't know if there really is an answer to that question. I know that there's always a lot of research being done to try and find root causes, social factors, the root determinants of problems, but I think that as long as humans have probably been around, that there's been humans that have struggled with substance use disorders. So,
Right.
but as far as the root causes,
Goes on
I'm
and
not sure.
on.
It just, there's always a lot of reasons why people will come into treatment and say that they're actively using, everything from to cope with stress, to cope with boredom, to deal with past trauma. Trauma is extremely significant when talking about substance use disorders, and so it's important for treatment to address those components as well. But there's many, many causes of this.
Okay, so not a singular one.
I would say no.
And the problem that I understand as well is that where perhaps some of the drugs, let's say 5 years ago, were pretty expensive. Now with the opioid situation, they're pretty cheap. It's easy to get, and that's part of the problem, is that they're just too available and too cheap.
Right. I think that working where I do and listening to the stories that I do, I think I have often a different perspective than people that don't work in the field, because for me, my perspective is these things are accessible, they are available, they are cheap, they are everywhere. And so a lot of times when I'm speaking with community members, I think we like to believe that we're safer in certain spots or with certain, things, but that's not necessarily the case. I think that's a myth.
Okay. You hit a chord in me for family reasons. My own personal family, close friends, other relatives. We seem to have a lot of programs that treat the person that's involved with the substance, but you mentioned the person that's the significant other, the children. It could be somebody that is close by that's suffering because of the individual. Can you kind of create a scenario or a bio of someone that is in this situation and what they're experiencing? Because I think people forget about the other person.
Right.
So what's it like for them?
So in working with the families, and right now I'm working with a lot of parents, I tend to get a lot of calls from moms. Moms are the ones that call. So they're living with a lot of fear. They're living with a lot of overwhelming uncertainty, often a lot of guilt, because they feel that in somehow their behavior has caused the problem. So typically with a concerned significant other, they're isolated. They feel that there's a lot of embarrassment, so there's not an open discussion of, maybe, my child is struggling with this, or my spouse or my partner is living with this, and I'm not sure what to do. So it leads to a lot of disconnection, which is why programs like CRAFT are so incredibly important in working with the concerned significant others and with the family members, because of how they're feeling and lives just become chaos. Lives start to revolve around the addiction, the substance use disorder, and not around connection and healthy things.
Okay, so let's take this one step further.
Okay.
So we have the person that's involved with the drug situation and their addiction, and they have their issues.
Yes.
And you have the person that's non-addicted, non-involved with the chemical dependency or whatever,
Right.
who's now being affected in a product of this person's addiction. So they're like
Sure.
this spin-off or byproduct of it. So they're living with all these conditions, but what happens to them mentally, emotionally, physically?
Oh my goodness, it's significant. A lot of anxiety, a lot of because of fear, because especially with a lot of the drugs that we're seeing now, it's so horribly damaging. But a lot of living just with a lot of anxiety, not knowing if their person's going to come home, when they're going to come home, if they're going to get arrested, who they may be with, or other high risk behaviors they're engaging in, especially for family members, because there's so much love that often the family member who's struggling wants to help in some way. So then that bad word enabling comes up often. And for me, enabling is just misdirected love. Enabling is, I love you so much, I don't want you to hurt, so I'm going to try whatever I know how to do to help you not hurt. And often, unfortunately, that fuels destructive behavior, and it doesn't really help the person who's living with a substance use disorder to seek treatment. It kind of perpetuates the problem.
And you said that they live in anxiety and fear.
Yes.
Without going into great details, I had a relative that was sort of fall off the map. Sound familiar in some of your clients, perhaps?
And, yes.
And they don't know where they are. They don't know if they're safe, if they're living with somebody. And I remember one day this person called me, and I said, "Oh, I thought you were dead." I mean, I was really pretty callous about it, but it was really how I felt. It was like I got tired of worrying about this individual. I was like, I have no idea where the individual is, and then out of the clear blue, they call you.
Right.
It's not a good way to live. I would suspect people that are really close to this situation are probably losing weight. They're probably not eating right. They're probably not sleeping right. And, you probably see this from time to time. Before you judge somebody when you see them, you should know the story behind why they look and feel the way they do. Annie, can you speak to that at all? Do you ever see that in your public relations about, how we should see each other in these situations?
Oh, and that's a lot what I do, being that I talk a lot about mental health, suicide prevention. Often with these topics, there is a lot of judgment around them. And so it's always important to be person-centered when talking about these subjects, and reminding everyone that there are safe ways to talk about it. There's friendly ways to talk about it. Of course, you never want to dismiss the seriousness of the issues, but don't put people down for what they are struggling with, because we all have our own struggles. And so if we can be open and talk about the topic, without putting anyone down, it usually makes people open up more and are more willing to speak, and really breaking down stigmas as well.
Right, and if I could just piggyback on what Annie shared, which is incredibly important, and goes back to CRAFT, is because of the positivity and the importance of positive connection. And CRAFT really is an alternative for family members. I think when family members want to intervene because they're worried about a substance use disorder, and there's so much anxiety, and there's so much fear, and there's so much anger, and there's so much frustration, the natural reaction is to kind of want to either completely detach or have conflict. And so CRAFT flips that script significantly. One of the tenets of CRAFT is you really will catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. And if you want to motivate your loved one to seek help, then we're going to enhance the connection within the relationship. Because I will tell you, in working with my clients who live with substance use disorder and alcohol use disorder, they will say one of the most difficult things is that they know they've hurt their family, they know they've hurt their loved ones significantly, and they understand why their loved ones have pulled away, but it's that pulling away and then it's that lack of connection that will continue to drive unhealthy behavior. And so CRAFT, in working with loved ones, kind of in coaching and teaching them how to strengthen the connection but appropriately, so without enabling, with appropriate boundaries, with using positive reinforcement, we can really motivate somebody. Because what we know about humans is that whenever we want to change a problem, feeling put down, feeling, kind of like berated, feeling less than, is going to decrease somebody's motivation to help themselves. And so craft as an alternative presents this positive enhancing connection program. A lot of families will call us and say, do you do intervention? Because I think especially with the TV show Intervention, everybody's pretty familiar with that. We know that intervention is about 30% effective in actually motivating somebody to seek help, because it threatens connection. If you don't do this, we're leaving, we're pulling away from you. I think it makes for good TV. I think it makes for poor relationship and engagement in motivating somebody to seek help. We know through research that craft so far has demonstrated about an 87% effectiveness rate in working with the loved ones to motivate their loved one to seek help.
You're passionate about this, aren't you?
Very much so. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to make a statement right now, and I'm going to kind of look at the camera right now. Okay. We've all fallen into this situation. Now, you can jump in any time, okay? Disagree with me or agree with me. But when we were in school, they never gave us a class on how to deal with someone with addiction. So what do? We use whatever we thought worked in raising kids. Or we'll get tough. We use tough love. Or we'll do what Melissa said, we'll forget they're there. They're invisible, or whatever. There's no science behind that. It's gut stuff, right? It's what our grandparents might have done if we did something, and this is a whole new world. So, I guess where I'm going with this is, folks, if you got anyone in your lives that's in this situation, it sounds to me like you need some new tools in your tool bag, right? And whether you are willing to admit it or not, you're going to need some help on this sort of thing. I want to come back to the word trauma. You said that people are traumatized sometimes that are involved with addiction. What do you mean by that?
Well, for me, with my experience, just speaking from that, is that there's it could be anything from things that are considered like big, like single traumas, such as living through a natural disaster, and abuse or neglect, accidents or near-death experiences. Trauma could also be chronic. It could be chronic stress. So children that grow up in families where there's a lot of, maybe mental illness and instability, maybe substance use disorder and instability, or maybe a lot of moving. Children that grow up with parents who have addiction or mental health, things that they're living with, often can internalize. Domestic violence can be traumatic. So there's trauma is very subjective to the individual. There are things that somebody may go through that they may process and then kind of move on. There's other things that people may go through and their brain kind of gets stuck. And so the quickest, easiest, most effective way that humans know how to change how they feel is to use substance, because it works. And that's something.
How does it work? Let's talk about that.
Okay.
How does it work?
How does it work?
Yeah.
What, across the board?
Yeah,
Drugs?
In general, what does it do for the person?
Yeah. So, and this is something that when I'm working with a lot of my family members, we go down this road because we do what's called a functional analysis of their loved one's use, which is really, we need to talk about what your loved one is getting out of this to really understand how to address the problem and so that we can intervene effectively. And so, often, if the trauma has been involved, really people are looking to numb, or we're looking for an escape. We're looking for some sort of detachment. If it's not, if the trauma triggers aren't there, if somebody doesn't have a history of trauma, but they're using because they want to enhance their social skills, sometimes that'll happen, or they want to prevent boredom. There's many different reasons for why people seek substance to change how they feel, but it does happen. People do use for reasons, and I know a lot of times we want to talk about why substances are bad. which I don't disagree. You know, they're very damaging to body, mind, spirit. But we also need to understand why people are using so that we can intervene and so that we can help.
So whatever the substance is, it's to block, to
Could be.
numb, as you said,
Sure.
that type of thing. So not everybody's strong. Not everybody knows how to handle situations. And as you say, it's quick and easy. It's a quick release,
Sure.
and you're on your way.
Yep. But I do work with a lot of very strong people who never intended to become addicted or who did not intend to become chronically substance using.
Let's talk about them.
okay.
So give us a scenario. Like, who are they? Who are these strong people?
Example? It could be anybody. It could be your teachers. It could be your police officers. It
Okay.
could be your doctor. It could be your neighbor.
But they
It could
experienced
be-
something in their lives that
Possibly.
triggered
Sure.
something
Yep. Yep.
when they're using.
Yep, and I think this is why the substance use disorders are so complicated and recovery is so complicated, because a lot of times in the research there's evidence that there's a biological connection, you know, the genetic connection that substance use and addiction can run in families. So there's a strong social connection as well. There's a strong connection between mental health and addiction and using mental health to cope with depression, anxiety, trauma, and those sorts of things. So it really could be anything that could be, you know, that could lead somebody down the path from just use to problematic use to addiction, because we consider the substance use disorders on a spectrum, you know, from mild to severe, and so that's what I would say.
Well, I'll share a little story with you.
Okay.
Growing up, I learned. Well, growing up, I always wanted to be a rock musician, and I accomplished that for all these years. I've been playing for a zillion years, and everybody thinks that I do drugs and I drink heavily and do all kinds of crazy antics. I never did drugs. I haven't seriously drank since college, and I'm like kind of boring when it comes. I don't smoke, and there's a reason why I don't heavily drink or drink at all anymore, because you hit on genetics. I come from a long line of alcoholics. Not my father, but other members up in the tree. And so I have shared this with my children. Be careful. Because when I used to drink in college, it wasn't like normal. I discovered that. I mean, I could drink a lot of beer. And I didn't really realize it at first. And then over time, I realized I had a high capacity for it. And that wasn't a good thing. And so I think you have to be honest with yourselves. You have to study your genetics, you know, and realize what the family thing is. And also, and you know, I'm not putting anybody down right now. This is just my life, okay? But I do know situations where growing up, it was very common for, if you had a party, out came the booze, and everybody drank and drank and drank and drank and drank and drank. And it was a very social thing. And then the next day, you all had a hangover, and everything was fine for a few weeks. Then you have another party, and you start all over again. Well, that became more frequent and things like that, and it just became that social thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got to
Of
be
course.
careful.
Yeah.
And our body gets used to some of that, right?
Right, and I think you bring up a really good point, which is, it is incredibly important to be honest with ourselves and taking a look at what our own risk factors might be, you know, personality-wise, mental health-wise, genetics-wise, so we can make informed choices about consumption, which is important. But I also think it's important for families to have these conversations and for families to talk about, because there's just such a significant, you know, we're not going to talk about this, you know, hush hush. You know, everybody knows
Family
that.
secrets.
Right, and
I
so,
hate
you know, it prolongs the problem. You know, honest communication, open communication is really important.
Take a breather. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and we're talking about a program for families called CRAFT, and my guests today are Annie Rosenthal, the Public Relations Coordinator for the County Mental Hygiene Department, and Melissa Ginestre, who is a mental health therapist who works with the CRAFT program. If you have a question or comment, you can call us at 753-5225. Twitter is, tweet us, whatever it is we do here. Email us and so forth. And remember, this show will be on YouTube later on in the week and so forth. Okay, Annie, let's go back to you about depression and things like that. So what's the connection with drugs and depression? Is there?
Well, probably there is. Unfortunately, I'm not a clinician like Melissa is, so I really don't have that.
Well, the message that we talk about out there, since you're public relations.
Well, the message we really like to talk about is, breaking down that stigma around mental health, around substance use disorder, because most often people, don't want to talk about it, and like you've said, Melissa treats strong people and things we've talked about just recently. You got to break down those stereotypes too, because all these things can happen to anyone in the community, and we really want to have the message out there that it's okay to ask for help. You're not going to be judged if you come to any of the behavioral health clinics, if you seek treatment anywhere in the county. We really want to put the message out there that, if you feel that you need help, we ask you to seek help. And, if someone in your life is dealing with these problems, who is struggling, we have those resources, and ask the question, are you okay? Is there anything I can help you with? Making sure that you are helping them and not ignoring them or not ignoring the problem, because that just increases the stigma around these topics. So a lot of my work is to get the information out there to the community. And while I have this opportunity, we have 2 behavioral health clinics in the county. We have one in Jamestown. The Jamestown Office of Behavioral Health is located in City Hall in Jamestown on the 5th floor, and you can reach them by calling 661-8364. And we also have Office of Behavioral Health or Behavioral Health Clinic in Dunkirk at 319 Central Avenue on the 2nd floor, and their phone number is 363-3550. So you can access assistance there any day of the week. They have open access hours available, so you can be seen the same day if you need to be seen by someone and talk to someone immediately.
Wow.
We offer everything from mental health counseling, substance use counseling, and a whole variety of other things related with behavioral health. So if you have any questions, if you want to make an appointment, if you want to speak to someone, I encourage everyone out there to make an appointment.
Okay, let's hold that. We have a caller, so let's take a call. Good morning, caller. Hello.
Well, good morning.
Oh, there you are.
Good morning, Doc. I'm sorry I haven't called you the last couple of weeks. I haven't been around to call.
It was your birthday. I wish you happy birthday and you didn't call me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, the reason why I didn't call, everybody was calling me, wishing me happy birthday. I was on the phone. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I got a lot of early calls. Thank you for wishing me happy birthday.
You're welcome. Did you have a good day?
I had a wonderful day.
Good.
I spent a lot of time on the phone and on Facebook.
It is a bit contagious, isn't it?
And thank you for wishing me happy birthday on Facebook also.
It's what I do. So what's going on in your world today?
Well, I want to say good morning to Annie and Melissa, and it's good to have all this information out in the community.
It sure is.
Because dependency is an illness. It isn't anything that people should be ashamed of. And as soon as people realize this, and have an open mind to it, this sort of thing can be remedied, hopefully.
Okay. Linda, I always try to tie the discussion back to your world with seniors. Is there an addiction issue with seniors that you see?
Well, according to civil service tests, and the correct answer, yes, there is.
Oh. Okay, and Liz
But I don't find that problem with the individuals that I'm working with, that are doing a job search. They're not shut in. They're actively engaged in the community and trying to improve their lives. If they do have a dependency problem, it's not when I see them.
Okay, all right.
But what do you notice?
Melissa was saying that she's seeing an increase age-wise?
Yeah, and especially one of the things we're seeing, and this is coming out also in like national media, one of the populations of opiate use disorders that we're seeing rise is over 55. So, I have worked with there is a myth that, the typical person or the typical heroin user coming into the clinic is young, maybe unemployed. We are seeing older community members who are employed, who are coming in with symptoms. They're not sure why they can't stop taking their medication because they feel sick, and they're going through withdrawal. So I think we are seeing an increase in the number of over 55 that are diagnosed with substance use disorders and seeking treatment.
I think that it's a national crisis, and don't you believe that a lot of these opioid dependency problems start with prescription?
So where do you see that?
Aren't they starting with prescriptions? I know, and there's some new legislation to curb this, but people have told me that they've been given things like hydrocodone. They took it once and said they don't want it, but just for a simple operation, simple pain. I think that we're in a generation where people can't adjust to the fact that there is pain in life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe that I would rather have a clear mind than a back that didn't ache.
Okay. Point made. I think.
And I can say that from my own personal experience.
You just kind of suck it up a bit, right?
Well, there are over-the-counter medications that you can take in moderation, and also there are natural resources like ginger and other natural compounds that are anti-inflammatories and are healthful and do not cause problems, dependency problems. Also exercise, physical therapy.
Sure. A lot of things.
Do you find, Annie, that, and Melissa, that this is one of the starting points?
As far as the medical prescription thing? So where does that fall into this? Part of it?
I think part of it. Yep. Part of it was, I think there was a period of time where I'm not sure if it was, just lack of knowledge or understanding, about the medication, but there was a lot of prescription of opiate pain medication for things that maybe didn't require that heavy of a medication. And in New York State specifically, when New York State implemented the I-STOP program, which is monitoring prescription drug dispensing, we saw, just anecdotally in the clinic, we saw a lot of our folks that were used to using street opiates were significantly depleted. And when that happened, a large vacuum opened up, and heroin just filled it.
Okay.
So.
Wow.
I think with national advertising from the prescription companies, there's just this big market for people to just seek a pill to correct everything. And when I hear the side effects, I would much rather have the disease.
The side effects take longer than the commercial. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and it's really irritating. And advertising is very expensive. I think the doctor should make the decision, and the patient also, with knowledge and gathering resources. But I don't understand why there's this big effort by the pharmaceutical companies to be encouraging people to take all these medications.
Well, it's pretty simple. It's all about money.
It is about money, but it's really irritating.
I know. You start to wonder if they have any scruples or any conscience. What else is going on in your world, Lynn?
Well, I do have some openings. I have an opening in the Jamestown area for a transport aide, and I really would like to get somebody on board quickly. It's with our carts division, and it's training on the job, and it's a great situation for somebody who would like to get their passenger certification and drive a van or a small bus, because they not only get trained while they're being paid and working, but they can also take the test with the vehicle, and we pay for the cost of their license and test.
Okay, and if they want to call you, the number's
They
on the
should
screen
definitely
right now.
call me. I also have an ad on the Department of Labor website, too.
Okay.
So I am getting calls and referring people.
Mm-hmm.
The number to call is 753-4471.
Okay. All right, well, you got to move along, Lynn, so thanks for
Well,
calling.
thank you. Have a great weekend, and it was great hearing from Melissa and Annie. Thank you for sharing the information with us.
Okay, you have a nice weekend, Lynn.
too.
Take care. Okay.
Bye.
Ladies, you have some slides that you sent me, so how about we pop those up, Jeff, and let's speak to them. How's that?
Sounds good.
Great.
Okay. Jeff, you want to pop up the first one for us? Okay, what do we got here?
So Reach Out a Hand is our local suicide prevention campaign. We want to remind the community that if you are ever having a mental health crisis, or if you know someone who is having a mental health crisis, help is available, and we asked you to call 1-800-724-0461. This hotline is available 24 hours a day, and you will be talking to a trained professional on the line, and help is available.
Okay. So there's one. Let's go to the next one because we don't want to miss these. Okay.
And of course, I made a slide today to remind everyone where the Chautauqua County Behavioral Health Clinics are located. We have one in Jamestown and Dunkirk. Again, at Jamestown, you can make an appointment or talk to someone at 661-8330. And in Dunkirk, please call 363-3550.
Okay. And our last one? A big event coming up.
Yes, we're going to be having our Glow Your Mind 5K in Jamestown, August 25th, 2018. This is a night glow run.
Oh, cool.
So the run or walk it starts at 8:30. It's a really fun event. You can search for Glow Your Mind 5K on Facebook for more information, or go ahead to runsignup.com and you can search for an event in Jamestown, or just search for Glow Your Mind 5K, and it'll bring you more information on how to register and what is available. And this event benefits the Community Alliance for Suicide Prevention, and race and timing and all of that great stuff is done by Striders. So they're an
Very
important
good.
partner in this event.
Okay, super. I want to come back to Melissa now. Melissa, the program is called CRAFT. It's involved family training to help those with addiction. So we haven't even talked about how does someone get a hold of you, and how long does the program last? What are the costs? Tell just the skinny on the CRAFT. Since we only got about a minute and a half left.
Okay. If there's a family member that's interested in craft, I want them to know that this resource is available for them to help themselves and to help their family member. They just simply have to call one of the clinics, either Dunkirk or Jamestown, and ask to schedule an appointment with a therapist that's doing craft. In Jamestown, that would be me. In Dunkirk, that would be Jennifer or Karen is doing craft in Dunkirk. It's a simple sign-up process. We do bill insurance, so we do ask that the person brings their insurance information. If they do not have insurance, we have a way to set up for self-pay. So it is pretty simple. It's not intended to be a long program. It could be anywhere between 4 to 5 sessions, or however long the person desires, because it's really based on their needs. And if they're getting a lot out of it, we want them to be able to continue.
How long is the session?
Sessions are usually 45 minutes to an hour.
And they are at your offices?
Yep,
Okay.
they're at our offices.
And if they can't get there, because transportation is not always easy for folks in this county, so is there any assistance there or any suggestions? Call a friend?
I would say call a friend, or I can investigate that further.
Okay, there's carts and so forth.
Yep.
Okay, we got like 15 seconds left. Annie, anything you want to say?
Oh, thank you for having us again. We can reach out to us. And again, I just want to say the crisis hotline number is 1-800-724-0461. So if you are experiencing a crisis or know someone who is, not in a good place, please feel free to reach out.
Folks, that's it. It's another wrap for another show. I hope that you take away something that you can share with someone that you may know that's in